Hey folks, I'm here this morning to shoot a contest entry for Ron Haggarty, his 400 subscriber contest. He has asked for 4 albums each from 4 genres that are a little outside of our listening norm. And so I think I have that, and let's jump right into it. First is classical. First up, Kathleen Battle sings Mozart. Kathleen Battle's a soprano. On this particular recording, she's backed by the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra, conducted by Andre Previn. Previn is a name that I knew right away from jazz. He not only is a classical conductor, but he's a brilliant jazz and classical pianist. And that's where I know him from. And then, of course, Kathleen Battle is world famous. Even someone like myself, who is a novice to classical music, has heard of Kathleen Battle. So that's the first album. Second, Wynton Marsalis. This is trumpet concertos. Of course, Wynton Marsalis being the Pulitzer Prize winning jazz trumpet player, but he also does classical. How brilliant is that? So, Wynton Marsalis. Christopher Parkening. In the classical style, Christopher Parkening is of course a classical guitarist who studied under the great Andreas Segovia, and Segovia said that he was one of the most brilliant guitarists in the world. That's Christopher Parkening. Next, Van Cliburn, and this proves that I was paying attention in college, because that's where I heard of Van Cliburn. He is one of the most well-known classical pianists of all time, and so I try to pick up his stuff when I see it, because I often see good classical records, clean classical records come through thrift stores and stuff. So I try to pick this up, and my plan is to try to educate myself a little bit on classical music, because it's one of the genres I know the least about. So from that, we're going to go to AfroJazz. Now, and the first CD I'm going to show you is the soundtrack to the HBO movie For Love or Country, the Arturo Sandoval story, with the music on this soundtrack being done by Arturo Sandoval. Let me show it to you without that cracked case. Andy Garcia starred as Arturo Sandoval. I have seen Arturo Sandoval live, and the man is so talented that it's just stupid. I mean, this gentleman is not only a world-class trumpet player, but if for some reason he lost his lips tomorrow, he can make I've heard the guy play piano, and he's brilliant on that as well. Just incredible talent. Anyway, the whole kind of Afro-Cuban movement started because Fidel Castro hates jazz. Why? Because jazz is an indigenous American musical art form. So in order for guys like Arturo Sandoval to get away with playing jazz, they had to use Latin influenced elements of Latin music infused to kind of cover up the fact that they were trying to play jazz. So anyway, so this is Arturo Sandoval for Love or Country. I don't know why, but it seems like whenever I pick up Latin jazz, the leader is always the percussionist. So you have Pancho Sanchez. This is Soul of the Conga. That's what a manly beard. Farley should be able to appreciate that beard. Look at that. Anyway, then we got Pete Sanchez, also a percussionist, and also the father of Sheila E. So this is kind of where Sheila E. gets her musical roots. And then finally on the AfroJazz, we've got Mongo Santa Maria with Dizzy Gillespie and Toots Thielman. And this is Summertime. And again, Mongo Santa Maria is a percussionist. All right, so from AfroJazz, we're going to then move to Celtic music. This band is a Christian band, but they're a hard rocking Christian group. They're called the Electrics. This is their self-titled debut. I think they only put out a couple albums, which is a shame. I really enjoyed this band. They were a lot of fun. And then there's the Celtic punk band, also a Christian band, but Celtic punk, Ballydouse. This is The Land, the Bread, and the People. They were on Gurr Records. I think they only did a couple of albums. But man, they could play with the fury. Then there's Kaylee Rain. There is, for country fans, especially fans of Kathy Mattea, there's kind of connection. The principal songwriter is Bob Halligan Jr. And Kathy Mattea has, when she's done some kind of Celtic-influenced country albums, she's covered some of the Bob Halligan tunes that some of which have appeared on Kaylee Rain albums. Now, remember, Celtic music, well, let me get back to that. Let me show you the last band, and I'll come back to that point I was about to make. The last band is Iona. I showed the Book of Kells in my last video, well, a couple videos ago for Rob's Go Birds contest. This is Journey into the Morn. Again, I keep hearing the references like that they are kind of like a Celtic Pink Floyd. I just am not familiar enough with Pink Floyd to confirm that, but what little I do know, I guess I could see that kind of comparison. But they're a brilliant band, and I love this album. This thing I love to crank it up. It sounds brilliant. Anyway, the point I was going to make was that now there are a lot of similarities between this Celtic music and what I'm getting ready to show you now, which is Bluegrass. Part of that is because a lot of Irish people settled. They came out of Ireland and settled in eastern Kentucky area and places like that, working coal mines, which I assume is kind of probably, if I followed my family tree back far enough, would be kind of my origins, my family tree origins, because of course Mac Henry is my last name is an Irish name in every source I've ever looked, and a lot of my family in other surnames in my family tree, like McCowan and Neely, are all Irish names. And my family comes a lot through the eastern part of the state. My great-grandfather was a coal miner. So, but I say all that just to say that, because that's why bluegrass, if you listen to bluegrass and Celtic music long enough, then you'll hear the musical similarities, even though the instrumentation is a little bit different. So that's why, I guess that's kind of why the Chieftains did bluegrass albums sometimes, and they sounded wonderful, because there is a natural bridge between Celtic and bluegrass music. Alright, so I'm going to do bluegrass for this last one. Ralph Stanley. Love this album. Of course, like most people, I discovered Ralph Stanley shortly after the movie Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And it was about, thinking that movie came out about the time I was really getting back in the country too. So, love some Ralph Stanley. Back in the day, this is not really traditional bluegrass, but there are some wonderful albums. The combination of Jerry Garcia and David Grisman. This is Jerry Garcia, David Grisman, and Tony Rice. This is the Pizza Tapes. Great CD. They did a lot of albums together. Other named Grisman and Rice, or Grisman and Garcia, and also they were also kind of behind the Old and in the Way, or Old and in the Gray albums. This is kind of a newer style, and in fact they're pretty experimental. This particular CD has some unusual covers, like So What, the Miles Davis tune So What is on here. So interesting stuff. Like I said, I've got a lot of Garcia and Grisman albums. Patty Loveless, Mountain Soul. This was a great sound for her, and easily one of my favorite Patty Loveless albums. And finally, an album that I think is, if you can find it, and it's a wild ride, but it's great. It's The Wayfaring Strangers, Shifting Sands of Time. This album is so unique because it's a mixture, it's a mixture of bluegrass and jazz, and what a wonderful mixture it is. Wayfaring Strangers, Shifting Sands of Time. So I'm going to cut here. For those of you who are wondering about Jake, he's right there in his spot doing what he likes to do, and that's nap. So anyways, Ron Haggarty, great channel. Congrats on the subs, man. And I think you'll probably hit 5 real soon, 500. Sorry to be so late with this, but sometimes life gets you. So hope you're doing well. Hope everyone in the VC out there, anybody watching this, I hope you're having a good week. And if you're not, just persevere. Keep going. It'll get better. I promise. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.